It's the review for the 2006 documentary Deep Water. In 1968, the London Sunday Times sponsored a race around the world, solo sail race with no stopping, called the Golden Globe. One person had sailed around the world solo, but he stopped in Australia and reconfigured the boat for the rest of the trip. This would be a non-stop race. 9 people showed up. You could leave whenever you wanted between the spring and October 31st, because after that the weather would be too hard in the southern areas and you'd never make it. Well, most of these people were experienced sailors, except for one, Donald Crow-hurst. He sold navigational equipment for a living, didn't have a boat, and sold his business and mortgaged his house to have a boat made for this race. He left on exactly October 31st, and an hour into the race, he had his first trouble, needed to go back, and then left a second time later in the day. This movie is about him, and I don't want to get into a lot of the details, but basically, very, very early in the race, about 15 days in, he figured out that he wasn't going to make it. So he decided to cheat. He decided to wait off the coast of Brazil for everybody else to pass him and then just come in behind them. And as things progress, he has to come up with more and more ideas to pull this off as more and more people drop out of the race, until it becomes more and more desperate and more isolated and begins to lose his mind and go crazy. So the documentary about him and about kind of explaining why he did what he did. It's not justifying it in any means, and he's not a good person. Let's just put that to rest. He is a bad person. He intended to cheat. He tried to steal and cheat and lie. I originally heard about this story on a list of the worst cheaters in sports. It was written by an English person, so number 1 was Maradona, but Donald Crow-hurst was number 2. Seems to have pretty positive reviews everywhere, and you can add me to that list. I really liked this one. Thought it was really well done. It's what documentaries should be. They weren't just making up one-sided stuff, because there really is there's no other side in this. He screwed up. He knew he screwed up. He tried to lie, cheat, and steal to cover up his screw-up so his life wouldn't be ruined, but he still did the wrong thing. And his family's involved in this movie, and I think everyone knows that he kind of just lost his mind and things got out of hand. Yeah, so I really like this one. The negative reviews on this seem to be written by people who never watched the movie. They just say, well, he's a horrible person. How about making a documentary about the people who did things the right way? Well, then you're saying you should never make a documentary about bad people? There's something to learn from the movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it's an interesting story, and it's pretty open to everybody's opinions, and yeah, it's about a bad guy. He wasn't a nice guy, so if you want a story about heroism, story isn't for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll try, as always, to do better next time.